Hi, this is Joris from Ethercast. I'd like to show you Embark, the open source framework from Yuri Matthias to help you create your Ethereum dApps. So as it's mentioning on the website, it automatically deploys contracts for you and makes them available in your JavaScript code. Embark watches for changes in your contract code, your Solidity contracts, and it will automatically update it. And redeploy them to the blockchain if needed. Same applies to the front-end part of your dApp. If your HTML or JavaScript changes, it will also automatically redeploy it to the test server. Installation is fairly straightforward, assuming that you have the Ethereum client installed as well as the Solidity compiler and the Node.js requirements. I'm not going to cover that here in this video. There are plenty links and resources for that already. So first of all, I have Geth installed, Geth version, latest version of Geth. I have the Solidity compiler installed. I have Node installed. npm is installed as well. So that's all good. Now I can install the Embark framework. Alright, so this makes the Embark command line tool available for version. Now I want to take you through the demo scenario. That's also outlined on the website. If I use Embark demo, it will create a demo environment with some default settings files and a small contract and front end. Okay, so now in the Embark demo folder, a couple files are created. Let's walk through them. There are some high-level configuration tools that you don't really need to modify. The grunt build tool integration with the default paths that will be watched, and it will trigger recompilation and redeployment upon a change. What's really interesting is the application folder, which contains the contract storage, as well as the HTML and JavaScript and possible CSS for your interface. And this is the folder that's watched by the Embark process. There's also a configuration folder. Here you can configure settings about your blockchain, about your local development chain, as well as a staging chain or maybe the production environment. And in case you have multiple contracts, what kind of arguments they should be deployed with, if they have some kind of specific gas costs that you want to modify, etc. And in the server setting, you configure where the local web server should be running. Just for the demo, we don't need to modify anything, but these are explained on the Embark website and in the wiki in detail. So now we can start a development blockchain. This uses the Geth, the Go Ethereum client, but it's not connecting to any other node, and it's only mining if there's a new transaction coming in. So it will not take a lot of CPU power. So great for development purposes. So to start this blockchain, I run Embark blockchain. Now it will run Geth. It will create a couple accounts, and first it will make sure that it has mined at least enough blocks, so there's a bit of a working capital for deploying contracts. And as you see, it's done mining, and it will actually stop mining until there are new transactions available. So this process, you'll just leave that running in the console, and maybe start a new one where you actually run the Embark process. So just leave this running in the backend. So I start another shell, and actually I will be running the Embark watchdog. Embark run. That went by pretty fast. What it did, it deployed the contracts to the blockchain, recorded the account where the contract is available. It's minimizing the JavaScript combined with the Web3 JavaScript API, creating the CSS static files, and copying the HTML and all the generated assets to a deployment folder. and it's running a local web server on port 8000 where you can actually test your environment. You also see it called the compilation in the Go Ethereum client. It deployed the contract and it did some mining. So the contract was mined, and afterwards the entire mining process was stopped again. So now on port 8000 of my local host, I should have this this demo running. Here's a very simple application. I can get a value out of the contract, I can change the value, and that's about it. So it's initialized with the value of 100. I can change it by change it to 55. I set the value, just logging a little bit. We can see actually that the transactions are being sent to the Ethereum node. Now if I request the value out of it, you see the state was changed to 55. What's interesting that in the contracts YAML file, you see that in the default constructor also there was some initialization going on. And if you have multiple contracts, you can refer them to each other. You can pass the contract address from one to the other. So yeah, fairly complex contract structures can be instantly handled that way without a lot of manual deployment being required. Now let's take a look at the Solidity contract behind it. It's very simple. Just a little value where the data is being stored, the initialization in the constructor. There's a setter and a getter. So this entire simple storage is actually made available automatically to the user interface. So user interface, very simple, as you've seen. We need to include the minimized JavaScript and CSS files. These are automatically being generated by the embark run process, and if you change any of the code, they will be redeployed. Here's the logic for the set value button and the get value button, and as well as the log output. The JavaScript behind it, I mean, there's no complex frameworks being used. Of course, you can make fancy stuff. It's AngularJS and Bootstrap, Meteor, etc. But it's just as a demonstration. This is really plain old JavaScript with a bunch of jQuery actually. So in case the set button is clicked, you see it gets the value from the user interface, from the input field, and it calls the simple storage set function with the value being provided, and this simple storage is actually made available as object to your JavaScript environment automatically, so you don't need to do any kind of contract creation wrapping for that. Same about when the getter is being clicked. Again, it calls the contract, gets value out of it, displays it to the user interface, and you're done with that. So now let's make a simple change to this demo, just to show you how the automatic redeployment is working. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a new button which allows you to double the current storage. So in the user interface, we just create a new button. We call it a double. Okay, and in the JavaScript, a little click handler for that. So when you press the double button, we actually don't need any value. We just need to call the double function to the contract. We want to log the same thing from happening. Okay, and we're going to implement this double function in the Solidity contracts. So we get a function double without arguments, and we just say store data is store data times 2. Okay, I saved it, and actually what you can, it says there was a compilation error. So let's take a look what I did wrong. Little typo. Okay, now the contract is being deployed to a new address. There's an error reported, but that's a known issue. There's no real error going on. This is just some kind of internal flake of the live reload that's going on. You can also see the contract being mined in the Ethereum environment. And now if you go to the user interface, we do a reload, we see the new double value button is available. Again, it was initialized with 100. I click the double value and I call it again, and we get 200 out of it. Oops. Takes a while to get mined. 400. Now we have the new value. So this really makes your life as an Ethereum developer much easier. Some of the more complex stuff to take a look at. There's a test environment where you can create tests for your code and have them be executed in a virtual EVM. There you can verify that your contract is working exactly as planned and it's matching a specific input that you provide, and you check that the result out of it is working okay. Okay, so give Embark a try. There's also a Gitter chat available. If you need any support, you can chat with Yuri himself and let him know how you like it. Thanks.